na ho tayo sa oras dahil lilipad pa ho kayo sa Iloilo. Baka we can allow the private stakeholders to maybe say their piece at least kahit tagpa 5 minutes po.
We just want to excuse Secretary Teo because she has a flight. And then we have here in the list three officers of the private group. We have here Ms. Maria Elena Berger, President, Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Boracay, Ms. Nanette Graf, the Boracay Foundation, Inc., and Mr. Junicio Salme, the Boracay Foundation, Inc. So maybe they can take turns in explaining their side to this hearing. Ms. Berger.
Yeah. Good afternoon to our senators. We are grateful for this opportunity to have this meeting in Boracay. For the Philippine Chamber of Commerce, Boracay, you have the copy, ma'am, of our statement. The Philippine Chamber of Commerce, Boracay Industry is the voice of the business, and it's the instrument for positive change. We believe it is time for action. However, we strongly want to be heard when say closing Boracay is not a solution to the problems we have been dealing with for a while. To move forward, we need unity among all involved in our agency. As our President Rodrigo Duterte mentioned during his State of the Nation address in 2016, we are imbued in resiliency that has been tested and proven. We have a band to act together. We have to help each other, for then and only then we can truly prevail, and the Filipino disciplined, well-informed, involved from the rise of the rebels of sorrow and pain. So that all the mirrors in the world will reflect the face of a passion that has changed this land. The LGU Malay presented a 6-month plan when we had our meeting a few days ago, which we believe can be implemented and enforced in the partnership and supervision of the national authorities. However, we in PCCI think everyone in this room is looking for a long-term sustainable solution. We have a question in our body in the chamber. What will happen after the successful cleanup of 6 months? Based on an objective and scientific studies the chamber has sought, which is, we call it SECAM, together with the expertise of the DNR and the data of PCCI, would like to work hand in hand with anybody doing what ultimately needs to be done in our tourism gateway industry, which is Boracay. As what our dear senators and the body, let's stop pointing fingers or blaming. Let's work together for progress. Currently, we need the government agencies to coordinate together and work towards positive and common goals. Madam Senator, unfortunately, many resorts and hotels have received, as of today, cancellations for the next coming months. Due to the statement made in the media, regardless if these statements were twisted or not, we urge to stop with the statement that will deteriorate Boracay Island, where we all invested our blood, sweat, and tears. We have faith, Madam Senator, especially for your time to be here with us in Boracay as stakeholders, that this administration, as well as our Senate, have in mind that we, being the well-being of our people, environment, and the tourists. Boracay is a world-known tourist destination. We need to focus on a positive future with solid ideas based on research that we already hear, which is we have our professor that we flew in from Tokyo University Institute in Japan with JICA, and our professor from University of the Philippines. This is the study of SECAM, which our dear Senator Binay mentioned earlier in her speech. This is the study which finished in 2015 and has been followed by the ongoing Blue Carbon Project. Strong enforcement and leadership by our LGUs and unity between the different government agencies to ensure Boracay get through the current obstacles. In behalf of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, is committed to sustain growth to the island. We believe in wisdom of well-informed, objective, and pragmatic minds, in the formation of positive solutions. So we want to stand on the front line towards making the world fall in love with Boracay all over again and again. Before I finish po my Madam Chair, my speech, I'm also going to close this. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. This is borrowed from Martin Luther King, and I'm also speaking in behalf of the future of more than 15,000 children of this municipality and Boracay Island. Thank you so much for this opportunity, ma'am.
There is a saying that we don't own this planet, we borrow it from our children. So we're doing this for our children. So let's not talk of the children now, because if this is the way we're going to do Boracay, there is no future for our children. So,
thank you, Madam Chair.
So is there anybody from the private sector who would want to speak? Mr. Clemente of the Tourism Council of the Congress of the Philippines. Okay.
Good afternoon. Before anything else, the Tourism Congress of the Philippines would like to thank the Senate Committees on Environment, Natural Resources, Tourism, Finance for the opportunity to be a speaker for today's hearing. First and foremost, we would like to state that the TCP unequivocally and fully supports the President's call to address and remedy the environmental problems that exist in Boracay. The island is one of the country's prime destinations, and thus it is in our best interest to act now to ensure that the island becomes a sustainable place. In the past couple of weeks, we have watched or read various solutions being offered to fix the island, ranging from total closure to a partial closure and other suggestions. From the private sector point of view, we would like to express that we are in total agreement that there are problems that need to be addressed now. Permanent measures are needed to ensure that not only Boracay, but other tourist destinations become sustainable for the future. That said, it is also the view of the private sector that a total closure of the island may result in a myriad of adverse consequences which will take us a long time to recover from. It is easy to say that the island will be closed for a limited period of time to recover, for a limited period of time, but the reality is it will affect so many in the tourism industry and not in a good way. As it stands now, we are already facing uncertainty due to the various announcements regarding what will happen to the island. We have been constantly receiving questions and even cancellations since the President made his statements. What we recommend is finding a solution which will allow the island to continue accepting tourists and at the same time doing what needs to be done to upgrade Boracay's facilities. The common solution being offered by our stakeholder members is to close down those violating establishments and give them the opportunity to effect repairs that will make them compliant with the environmental regulations. Establishments that have been compliant from the beginning should not be penalized for the sins of those who have skirted the law. From my talks with some stakeholders, they are willing to do what needs to be done while imploring that a total closure not be implemented. we are already seeing some stakeholders starting to remedy their violations, which is a good sign. A major concern is the plight of the people who work here, who work in Boracay, and what will happen to them if a total closure is implemented. There are between 17,000 to 19,000 workers that depend on the island for their livelihood and will suddenly be thrown into the cold. We have yet to hear of a plan or alternative with regard to those who may be displaced. We are sure that this potential situation may go against the President's and the government's anti-poverty and anti-poor programs. We would also like to recommend that the environmental monitoring process be reinforced and strictly be done to ensure that establishments stay in line. We are in this situation as it is now, obviously, because the proper monitoring was not done by appropriate agencies, as evidenced by existence of violating establishments. There is no denying this. We would also like to recommend that fees being charged to visitors to the island for the environment be plowed back into preserving the environment. Extrapolating from the statistics for Boracay in 2017, revenues from the environmental fee being charged go no lower than 100 million pesos for 2017. This is a substantial amount that can greatly enhance the effort to preserve the Boracay, to enforce Boracay's environment. While we still have so many points to raise, in the interest of time, the TCP will submit a position paper to the appropriate committees outlining the tourism stakeholders' concerns. Thank you very much, and we look forward to assisting the committees in crafting laws to address the environmental aspects of the tourism industry. Magandang hapon po.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, siguro, since nabanggit na din ho yung 6 months closure, I would like to hear from DOT, from DENR, are you seriously considering closing Boracay for 6 months?
We're talking about it, and they have to consult the president. I was telling them that we will have a list of the compliant and non-compliant. They will submit to the committee the list of the complying establishment and the non-complying establishment, and they will talk to the president kasi ang suggestion natin, ipasara yung non-compliant at bayaan bukas yung compliant. Kasi we have to reward those who are complying with the laws, and then we punish those who are not complying with the laws. And they said that they will talk to the president and find out his thoughts on this. They cannot promise now. They have to clear it with the president.
I guess siguro, Madam Chair, I would just like to appeal na kung pwede lang, wag yun na isama dun sa option ni Presidente na isara yung isla ng Boracay. I mean, you have to consider yung mga maaapektuhan nating kababayan dito sa isla.
If I may add, Madam Chair, if I may add, I think it is important that we come up with ensure that our communication protocols are being briefed properly. Because, you know, when you talk about something, nandyan ang media, nandyan ang international media, tayo mag-usap po tayo. Pare-pareho tayong Filipino, pare-pareho tayong nagmamahal sa Boracay. Huwag naman tayo basta magbibigay na lang ng statement, especially sa mga government officials, yung mga undersecretaries niyo po, yung 3 secretary po na na-meet natin dito. I've known them for quite a long time, and they're very responsible dun sa mga statements nila. Pero sana ho, yung mga USEC, director, baka po pwedeng mapagsabihan lang. Meron naman siguro tayong sinusunod na communication protocols kasi napakahalaga po nito at higit sa lahat, napaka-sensitive po nito. Salamat, Madam Chair.
I think we have to recognize that in all of these things, Secretary Simato hasn't said anything. He was given the authority by the President to find out what's wrong with Boracay and for him to recommend what to do with Boracay. And I think along the way, I haven't heard him saying that he will close Boracay. No? So we just have, he has to talk to the President about it. But we're recommending that if ever we will close establishment, those who are not compliant will be closed, and those who are compliant will remain open. Yun ang suggestion.
Excuse me,
natin.
Madam Chair.
So,
Excuse me.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, Madam Chair.
I am new in Boracay.
Governor Miraflores. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And good afternoon to my former colleagues in Congress, now senators. And let me state that we're really thankful that you have come here in Boracay to help us resolve these problems facing Boracay. And we're happy that the senators are supporting the fact that only the violators should be punished and the compliant ones should be rewarded. In short, Boracay should not be closed totally, but only those that are not compliant should be closed. And may I just take this opportunity to thank General Simatu, because before this problem came out, he was here already in June last year. And we were discussing already what are the problems of Boracay. And I was asking him that to take the lead to resolve the problems of Boracay. This is because this is mostly an environmental issue. And we can resolve this in the next 6 months that was given to us, because under his instructions, we crafted a 6-month action agenda, how to resolve specific issues. Because the main problem here is sewerage, drainage, solid waste, illegal structures on forest land and wetlands, maybe the roads, because these are too narrow, but with the support of Secretary Villar, I'm sure DPWH can help us here. But this...
you know, when the roads are narrow, it's the fault of the people because they don't want to give way to the road.
Yes, that is very true.
It's easy to cement a road. The problem is if the people are there, then you cannot cement a road. That's the responsibility of the local government to move the people out of the road. The work of public work is just to cement the road. But if you will not move out the people out of the road, then there's no road to build. You know, in my city of Las Piñas, I do the moving out. It's not the Department of Public Works. They cannot do it.
Yes, that's very true, Madam.
Secretary Villar, that they don't even have a legal department there. So, and besides, the people are not afraid of the Department of Public Works. They're afraid of us. So we should be the one to move them out because they will not listen to DPWH. They listen to the local officials.
That's very true, Madam Chair, because as we have done with Secretary Simatu, we have already identified the bottlenecks, and we have this surveyed already, and they have agreed to move out to remove the obstacles on these bottlenecks, because once these are removed, the traffic on the main road will be eased, because we will now have a complete circumferential road for the island of Boracay. But going back to the environmental issues, the DNR, in fairness to them, has started already to do the inventory under the leadership of General Simatu, to do the inventory of all illegal structures on wetlands, forest lands, and that is why now they already issued, before this brouhaha came out, they already issued the notice of violations, show cause orders, and even those structures illegally constructed on easement areas have been given notice of violations and demolition notices. So, how about the other agencies that are concerned? My concern here is also, I would like to bring this out to the DOT, because they have also a role to play in tourism development. It's not just promotion or accreditation. Tourism development is part of their work, because TIESA, formerly PTA, is the infrastructure arm of PTA, of the DOT. And one major issue that facing us is the drainage issue, ma'am. We recognize this already in 10 years ago that we have to fix the drainage of Boracay. Unfortunately, then PTA started with the drainage project and left it hanging and is doing it on installment basis. 10 years after the first phase of the drainage program, they are now just starting with phase 2. And
I have talked to the CHESA and they're willing to do the drainage of Boracay. They told me they will take them 3 years to finish the drainage
that is
of
why,
Boracay.
because, yes,
but
ma'am.
the sewer should be done by your water provider. That's the responsibility of your water provider. And so you have to delineate what will be the water project of, or what would be the area of 2B, 2P,
Boracay 2B.
and what will be the area of what you
Boracay
call this
water.
Boracay water, because they cannot overlap, because we will not know who is responsible for what. So they have to talk to each other and determine where the other one will be operating and the other one will be operating, so they can do the sewer on their area. Oh, so you have to set this, they have to settle among themselves. We have no time to hear Boracay water and 2B water, but 2P ba? 2B.
Boracay
2B
2B.
water, but we will invite them in the Senate so that they can make the presentation in the Senate, because we have not much time. We're due to leave in 15 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
May just finish, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Because this particular issue of Boracay water and Boracay 2B is being addressed now. Boracay water, who has the sewer lines, has constructed already 2 sewerage treatment plants, one in Balabag and one in Manok-Manok. The problem of these 2 sewer or 2 treatment plants are that they are not connected. So in the Balabag area, where most of the commercial establishments are, there is an overcapacity. Their treatment plant cannot service all of these resorts. And so they are now constructing a diversion pipe. And the Secretary Simato was given them 1 month. In the case,
What will you give 2B?
in the case of Boracay 2B, this is an old line which used to serve the old fairways and blue water. It was constructed to serve only that establishment way back in the late 90s. But what happened is when fairways and blue water folded, this Boracay 2B serviced also some commercial establishments without the benefit of a sewage treatment plant. Last year, Boracay 2B was taken over by Macro Asia of the LT Group. And now, they have now a program. They presented a program to me where they will do septage management system program, meaning all the establishments that are their water concessionaires will be obliged to have their septic tanks dislodged, and this will now be treated in their main treatment plant in fairways and blue water. So they are now moving to catch up with the program because it's impossible for them to put up new sewer lines. And we do not allow them already because that will again make our roads unpassable. So,
Still build up septic tank.
Yes.
Those connected with 2B water, and from the septic tank they will dislodge them to their treatment plant.
yes, yes.
So that's another system.
That's another system.
But have you divided the place so you would know who will be under 2B and who will be under Boracay water?
Unfortunately, ma'am, we were not able to do that.
You have to decide that. Otherwise, there will be confusion.
Yes.
Oh.
So,
Because in Metro Manila, we have 2 water supplier, Maynilad and Manila Water. Maynilad is servicing the west and the south, and Manila Water is servicing the north and the east. So we know where we are. So that should be the case in Boracay. The people should know where they will connect, whether it's Tubi or Boracay Water, depending on the place where they stay. So everything will be clear. You have to clear this up, otherwise we are in shambles here. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam Chair, because they are practicing fair market competition.
Ay, no. This
So,
is water.
we have
You
to
cannot
resolve
do
this.
that. That would create a lot of confusion. In fact, that is creating a lot of confusion. We are interviewing nga. You cannot do that. You have to decide firmly on this.
Well, maybe with the help of Secretary Simato, the DNR,
diba? Magulo
can
yun
help us with this particular issue.
You have to have a delineation. I've never heard of anything that you practice free enterprise with regards to water. That's confusing.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a utility. It's a no.
So that is as far as the water system, water providers are concerned, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Governor.
And
now
may just
yes.
last appeal, ma'am.
Oh.
We would like to appeal that the pronouncements of total closure must be done in a should
not be announced.
You said it, ma'am. I did not want to say it because
No, I'm asking the secretary to appeal to the president that we just close the non-compliant.
Yes.
The compliant we allow to.
because this will greatly affect the province of Aklan.
We do business also, we understand it.
So that is my appeal, and we hope that
We're appealing the same thing.
with the committee
We reward the compliant and we punish the non-compliant.
That's
Diba?
true, ma'am.
That's the but fair. Okay. So if you want to open, you be compliant.
Madam
Diba?
Chair, baka we can hear na from
Yeah,
Boracay
yeah.
Foundation.
Madam Chair, may I just be given...
Sister Maria Perla Balbastro of the Holy Rosary Parish, Boracay, would like to talk. Okay.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. Today has been a very beautiful day for us. The last moments have been very affirming for us. But may I be clarified, and I am appealing to your mother's heart. Do I understand that the wordings, the discussions, and almost everything that happened here talked of business establishments, owners, Boracay as resort? But please let us not forget that how many people are working here, but many of us, according to the statistics of our municipality, there are 56,000 residents of Boracay. I am new to this island, but I consider it home, as all of us who love Boracay. And many of us do not belong to the concerns which have been presented, and even the wordings of the resolutions and the laws seem to emphasize on Boracay as a tourist spot or business or whatever. But please don't forget the people here, especially the heroes of Boracay. And who are the heroes for me? Yung nagtitinda dyan ng mga balot sa daan, nagtitinda ng fried chicken na 10 pesos ang isang piece. Yung nagtitinda ng maliliit na bagay para mabuhay ang mga small workers here. These are the heroes of Boracay, and they are the ones who suffer much from the pitiable situation that we find Boracay. Naglalakad sa baha na nanggaling sa mga CR every day. We should not worry about the tourist. Marami silang pera, mapakamot sila. Pero yung mga taong maliliit who live here, who call this home, who has been here since time immemorial, na hindi lang turista, hindi lang workers, majority are still here and they seem to have not spoken how much they have suffered. Whatever the decision is, I think, Ma'am, and the President, these are the primary people who should also be considered.
We always consider the welfare of the people. Don't worry about that. In all our decision in the Senate, we always consider the welfare, especially of the poor people. So
Thank you very much, and
you
we
can
hope it
rely
is
on that.
found in the wordings, Ma'am, in the wordings, even in the titles.
Yes. We can call now the spokesman from the Boracay Foundation if they want to say their piece. Okay. Miss Nanette Graff. Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. And thank you for allowing me to read some important points, or I hope I may be allowed to read some important points from our official statement. We have provided copies to all of you of the complete BFI statement. However, I ask that I be given this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to share the real sentiments of the Boracay stakeholders. It will only take a little over 5 minutes po. May I proceed, Madam Chair? Okay. Good afternoon to our highly distinguished guests. First and foremost, our respected senators who sacrificed their time and efforts to be with us today to a most historic day to finally have all of you gathered here in our home, Boracay Island. If our beloved Boracay Island could speak now, I am very sure she must be very pleased with all the attention that is finally given to her. Although we all wish it was under a better circumstances and in a better light. Nonetheless, we, the Boracay Foundation, the leading business organization of Boracay in existence in the past 20 years, would like to extend our deepest appreciation to our President for his marching orders to all agencies, government units, and departments concerned to do their due diligence in responding to the needs of this island, which has given 56 billion in tourism receipts to the national government. I particularly emphasize the word national because we believe everyone should acknowledge that Boracay is a national concern. All of us from the local community and the national government have in one way or another benefited from the island's success and has therefore contributed to all these issues we are currently facing. And as such, Boracay needs both the combined strengths of the public and private sectors. The past few weeks, we have found our community at a loss, barraged on national media with pressures from all sides about varying numbers of violators without official lists from DOT or DNR to identify said violators. News of closing down the island's permits through the whole community, causing confusion and discord. Deceitful individuals taking advantage of our current situation by asking for money in exchange of lobbying our concerns to the President and so on. We in the BFI are sincerely appreciative and are truly grateful that government agencies are now all focused on working towards the cleaning, the healing of Boracay, and we assure you of our cooperation. But we ask that implementation be within the confines of the law, following due process and giving utmost respect to existing vested rights. Most importantly, we seek all agencies' support and assistance in cleaning up the mess with the least possible disruption to the businesses that are compliant. We welcome the DNR pronouncement on January 9 regarding land classification. This has been the clamor of the landowners since 2008, that there were discrepancies in land classifications. However, these classifications should be subjected to existing vested rights either through the title or through payment of tax declarations since 1945 to present. We agree that illegal settlers should definitely vacate the forest lands. Moreover, we humbly ask the DNR to revisit the 15 meters of the centerline easement requiring a long main road. Secretary Simato, this road po and establishments along it have been in existence even before the presidential decree since 1064 by former President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo. We recommend that we find a middle ground and implement a 6-meter setback on each side and adopt our municipal ordinance po. This is more feasible and realistic for our very small island. The 25 plus 5 meter easement has also been mostly addressed and compliant already. We ask the DOT to be more constructive and perhaps put on more positive spin on the island's current transformative state, rather than call it a state of calamity. For instance, pitting island destinations against each other is a bit irresponsible and does not contribute to the main goal of attracting more tourists to visit our wonderful destinations. The very long line of red tape and past problems has all contributed to the cumulative degradation of our environment and way of life. To get things straight, the government, both national and local, have their accountabilities. A classic example is our circumferential road mentioned by our governor earlier, which needs to be completed, and the long-delayed, unfinished DOT TSA drainage project, which we have begged to be completed for more than 10 years. It is a major reason for all the flooding in the island. We ask that this project be religiously scrutinized to ensure strict implementation. We ask our government leaders not to allow that our island be closed. The billions we spend and the years of hard work and have invested on building a good name for Boracay Island, gone. It will cost billions more and many years to rebuild the name after its reputation is tarnished internationally, causing losses to our nation as a whole. The island may not be the untouched island that it was in the 80s, but neither is it close to being beyond our unworthy saving. We badly need funding from the national government for infrastructure and critical utilities to be brought up to par. We need this to build with tomorrow in mind. We need it to properly study the island's carrying capacity and the limits of its environment. We humbly request the government agencies concerned would truly work together with us, being transparent on the specific plans and measures to be implemented prior to implementation. Please include us in your strategic planning for the next 5 months so we can help. The fastest way to achieving your goal is to empower the stakeholders and strengthen citizen participation. Please do not leave us in the dark. To end, we urge you to close all airing establishment immediately. All those that have not connected to the sewage system, or those who do not have their own wastewater treatment facility, or those who have failed to properly dislodge their wastewater, and see that the water pollution issue is put to rest. Close all the illegal structures in violation, but protect without prejudice all that are compliant and have proper documentation to prove possession. As long as you do not close the entire 7-kilometer Boracay Island, we will support you 110%. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the opportunity to work together, implement the ordinances and laws, commit and implement projects that will bring the needed change and bring Boracay back on track to sound development. Remember that all the discussions and agreements from this inquiry and all this media attention will surely make a very, very good press releases. It is in the fair, transparent, organized, and truthful execution of programs that will deliver the real change for Boracay, our national treasure. I leave you with our mission to preserve what we have and restore what we lost. A good day to all of you. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat po, Ms. Nanette Graf of the Boracay Foundation, Inc. We just want to point out that we have to really implement the solid waste management law here in Boracay. I think your system of bringing out all your waste to the mainland is not the provision of the solid waste management law. Under the solid waste management law, you recycle. And then the residual waste you bring out of Boracay. And if you analyze the solid waste of our community, there are only four. The biodegradable, which is 50%, you try to compost. And then the paper, which is 15%, you can sell because there are really people buying paper because they recycle it also again into paper. And then the plastic, you can recycle. You can make school chairs out of plastic. Secretary Simato will give you the plan to recycle your plastic. And then what will be left, that's 50, 15, 15. What will be left is 20%, and that is what we call the residual. That is what you will bring out of Boracay. Kasi pag lahat po binring out nyo yung Boracay, yung landfill nyo dun sa Malay, puno agad yun. And then mahihirapan tayo maghanap ng landfill. Under the solid waste management law, we recycle. We don't throw away all our garbage, okay? So I hope we can do that together with the private sector. We will give you the composting facility and the plastic factory and whatever you need to recycle, but we should recycle and bring out the residual out of Boracay, okay? That's a promise. And then, of course, to answer the concern of Sister Maria Perla Balbastro, sabi mo, tulungan ng mahihirap. I have talked to Secretary Simato. They have found land outside of Boracay to build a locust housing for those informal settlers or those that will be brought out of Boracay. So they have to live in the mainland, and the National Housing Authority will build them a relocation area out of Boracay. So, tutulungan natin. Alam nyo, yung relocation area ng National Housing Authority sa Cavite, where we bring our rivers dwellers, ang hulog lang nila 200 pesos a month. So, napakamura. Subsidized 90%. So, Secretary Simato said he has found a government land in the main island, and they will build a relocation site for those who will be displaced here in Boracay, the poor people who will be displaced here in Boracay. So, iyan po ang pag-aalaga ng ating gobyerno para sa mahihirap nating kababayan. Ngayon, yung ating mayayaman na kababayan na naandito, na may business dito, well, you have to reform. You have to be compliant because we will keep the compliant open and the non-compliant closed. Okay? Is that fair? Oh, mukhang labas yata sa ilong ang sagot nyo. Yes. Okay. So, we will ask the rest of the senators to give their closing remarks.
Madam Chair, ako lang po.
Okay.
Kay Miss Graf lang, pasensya na if I called you Mylene. I'm not sure if it's also your name. I made mention kanina Mylene Aguirre Graf from Boracay Foundation. But I also wanted to find out just one question, ma'am, Miss Graf. Did you mention in one of your interviews 90,000 workers in Boracay? Can you elaborate on that? Where did you get that figure?
Yun po, we call it floating population po.
Floating population.
Including residents na mga 40,000 plus, workers in the island. Kasi if we have 2 million tourists, 20,000 tourists at any given time in the island, usually po yung sa resorts would, di ba, yung one tourist, one worker.
That was your methodology.
Opo. No, I think I got the figure, sir, from
Kasi from DOT kanina, we got 17,000 in the tourism sector, and then in the local government, that's 19,000 registered po. Registered. Hindi po kasama yung nasa informal sector. Just to be clarified. Thank you, Ms. Graf. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
You're talking.
Madam Chair,
yes,
just quickly,
yes, okay.
in relation to the statements of Senator Joel, we'd like to inform the committees today that it was the agreement of the interagency task force that we will now speak with one voice. We will no longer allow just anybody to speak. For the DILG, it will be ASEC Epi Densing. For DNR, it will be Yusek Luna. DOJ, it will be Yusek Tonico. And for DOT, it will be this representation, ma'am. So we can assure the community that we will now have one message with 4 people speaking the same message. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Asek Alegre. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, are you talking?
Yes, Mr.
No. Senator Ligarda has requested that she will continue with the hearing regarding solid waste management and, of course, any suggestion on legislation that will be passed with regards to the Boracay, the preservation of Boracay. Senator Subiri, Senator Villanueva, and myself will be leaving for Iloilo. And so we will leave Senator Ligarda and Senator Binay to continue the hearing. And if Senator Subiri would like to make his closing statement, may we hear from Senator Subiri.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to appeal to our chairpersons to have a second hearing. Maybe this is we could suspend because there's still a lot of questions that we'd like to ask. Like, is there a master plan? Was there a master plan during the time of then Secretary Mike Defensor, Secretary Atienza, the previous administration under Secretary Pae? We'd also like to ask more questions to the local government unit. Again, I really would like to harp on the fact that many permits were given without ECCs and other documentation and clear violations of the laws mentioned by Secretary Anyo, na hindi dapat pwede mangyari yun. Kasi kung ganyan ang mangyayari, hindi pa nga nangyayari itong federal setup, nagkakaroon ng abuse of authority na on the local level. So we have to clear that. We have to make sure that the violations are put out front and center and cases should be filed against them by the proper agencies. I'd like to also put on record our support. We all support the non-closure and just punishment of erring establishments. But I'd like to put, for the record also, the frustration of the President. I'm not here as a spokesperson of the President. I'm not even PDP Laban. I'm an independent. Ang akin lang is I share his frustration. Dapat makilala nyo na yung Presidente natin na yun. Pag galit siya, he means it. And it's only now that we're taking it, the bull by the horns, kasi meron talagang tayong Pangulo na pag sinabi niya close down talaga. Parang ngayon lang tayo na nagising. This is a problem. My very good friend, Secretary Mike Defensor, was persona non grata in this island when they tried to clean it up. And then, maganda pa yung isla noon. That was early 2000. Tapos yan, napabayaan. Ngayon, nakita na po natin na yun. Kung hindi po natin gagawin ng paraan ito, mga kapatid, my brothers and sisters here in Boracay, what's going to happen is the environmental degradation will be too much. You will have houses all the way to the tuktuk. There will be no trees anymore left in this island. And remember, tourism is first impressions. When I take my family to a tourist destination here or abroad, when I see it is a disaster, I'll never go back. So you may have the tourists coming here, my friends. 2 million this year, maybe more next year. But will those 2 million want to come back? That is the question. And I said again, yesterday when I went to the mall, I could not even move anymore. Para kami nasa SM Mega Mall. Ganun kapuno. Now, if I was a tourist who wants to have a nice relaxation with my children and my wife, I may think twice in coming back to Boracay. Kaya let us work it out now, pagandahin na natin ito, para sa ganun ay meron talaga tayong kinabukasan para sa ating mga kabataan, katulad na sinabi na ating chairman. This is not for us. I would like my 9-year-old, my 7-year-old, and my 3-year-old to come here one day and say, wow, it's still beautiful. It's still beautiful. Yun po sana. And help us create the Boracay Development Authority. I think now is the time we need to do this so that we have a true master plan and that plan will be implemented. Maraming salamat po. Thank you.
We want to hear from Senator Villanueva.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, again, let me congratulate our chairperson for calling this committee hearing here in Boracay. Again, as I mentioned a while ago, Madam Chair, let us save Boracay. We can't afford a sad-looking Boracay.
Hindi, magko-closing ako.
Madam Chair, as mentioned din, I have so many great memories in Boracay at gaya ng sabi ng seatmate ko kanina, wag natin sirain yung mga great memories na yon at magpatuloy pa ho yun. Sek, dito kami nagligawan na mag-asawa hanggang naging mag-asawa ho kami dito sa Boracay.
Mr. Chairman,
si Mix,
dito
maraming storya ho dito pero ayaw na po niyang sabihin in public.
Dito ako sinagot ng aking asawa na maging girlfriend. Girlfriend ko.
Again, that's why we can't afford a sad-looking Boracay. We are here to help. We are here to do our part, to give our best. Kanina, dito sa hearing pa lang, napakaklaro na, ang dami na, no, na napag-usapan. Funding, for instance, nandito ang chairperson ng Committee on Finance. Ang pinakamabait, alam naman nating pinakamaganda rin na chairperson ng Finance sa kasaysayan, at pinaka-generous. Kaya kanina, yung mga pangangailangan nyo, infrastructure, etc., natugunan na ho at nandito ang ating Committee on Finance. Nabanggit din po yung housing programs, nabanggit din po yung mga livelihood programs, waste management programs, etc. Ito po yung dala nitong committee na ito. Meron pong solusyon, meron pong mga immediate solutions na po pwede tayo kaagad na panghawakan at alam natin na makakatulong sa ating mga kababayan. Again, we can't afford a sad-looking Boracay. It's not too late. Magising na po sana tayong lahat sa katotohanan na talaga pong may problema ang isla at kinakailangan ding matuto ng ilang mga neighboring islands natin dito sa Pilipinas sa karanasan at experiences ng Boracay Island. Mukhang naabuso po yung tinatawag na carrying capacity ng Boracay. Yes, I agree that carrying capacity is a moving target, but we need to have the technology and sustainable infrastructure to support that. I believe that the current propensity to grow cannot be sustained unless we act now. At yung napaka-urgent concern, binanggit kanina dito sa committee, yung urgent concern, yung massive clean up. Urgent concern, yung implement po natin, itong Clean Air Act. Implement natin ang Ecological Solid Waste Management Act. Implement natin ang Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004. Binanggit din po kanina yung communication protocols, yung problema na kung sino-sino nagsasalita at napaka-delikado and sometimes very sensitive yung issues. So kailangan, we have to be sensitive. Naayos na din po kaagad, binanggit kanina ni Asek Alegre. Napakaklaro po na human-induced itong problema natin dito sa isla ng Boracay. At kinakailangan talagang kumilos tayong lahat at magtulong-tulong. Madami pong benepisyo na binigay ang Boracay Island sa ating mga kababayan, sa ating mga kapwa Pilipino. Trabaho, unang-una, at tayo pong lahat may pananagutan. May pananagutan dito na magtulong-tulong to save our beloved island, Boracay. Muli, maraming salamat po sa inyo at pagpalain tayong lahat ng ating Panginoong Diyos.
We will ask you to stay because Senator Lauren Regarda will discuss some issues, but Senator Villanueva, myself, and Senator Subiri will be leaving. Rest assured that Senator Lauren will suspend the hearing because we will continue with the hearing in Manila to discuss some other points and some other reports that we have required. But rest assured that whatever things that we will do in the future, we will take your opinions and your requests seriously, and we will be fair to everybody. We will always think of the benefit of the greater good of people. So marami pong salamat. We will turn over our to our new presiding officer, our Senator Ligarda. And thank you very much, and we'll see you in Manila.